Hi, I'm Bailey Sanders, and I chose to do my presentation on quinoa soup. To introduce the dish, it originated in the Andean side of Peru, and quinoa soup is a traditional dish made up of broth, different vegetables, quinoa, and spices. It's a one-pot mixture, which makes it very easy to make, and quinoa is highly nutritious and contains all the amino acids in the human diet, which is why it became very popular. The origin of the dish. So quinoa was sacred to the Incas, and they called it their mother grain. They grew it, and it was very accessible for them to access, and it originates from the Andes Mountains. The grain is ancient and was used by pre-Columbian civilizers. So for the evolution of the dish, as quinoa traveled to many cultures, the traditional recipe of quinoa soup mixed with, with local ingredients and different cooking methods. The soup really hasn't evolved much or changed, but vegan and vegetarian variations of the soup that don't contain a meat-based broth were developed, and it could be made with different kinds of quinoa, the white, red, or black, and depending on where it's being made, local ingredients will be used and added to the soup. So for my dish, I am using 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, 1 onion diced, 2 potatoes chopped, 2 carrots diced, 1 celery stick also diced, and then 1 garlic clove mashed, 2 tablespoons of chili powder, and then a 1/3 cup of quinoa, 1.5 liters of chicken broth, 1/2 teaspoon of dried oregano, 1/2 teaspoon of ground cumin, and then 1 tablespoon. I used parsley and I chopped it, and then 1 lime. So for the preparation method, you wash the quinoa until the water runs clear. This may take a few cycles, and then boil 1.5 liters of water with the chicken broth. And then you want to chop your vegetables. That would be the celery, carrots, potatoes, onion, garlic, and then in a separate pan, heat the vegetable oil on medium heat, and then add in your diced onions and saute them until they're soft. Then you want to add the mashed garlic and cook that for about 30 seconds. Then you mix in cumin, potatoes, carrots, and celery and stir until they're covered in oil and cook for about 1 to 2 minutes. Then add your oregano, salt, pepper, and chicken broth mixture, and then bring it to a hard boil. Reduce the heat and cook until the potatoes are lightly cooked. This takes about 5 to 8 minutes. And then after that's done, add in your quinoa and cook for about 12 to 15 minutes. And then I added in my parsley, and once I let it cook a little bit longer, and then once that was all done, squeeze in 1 lime. And this is optional. You can add hot sauce to add more heat and spice. So for my cooking process, I got 1 big pot and put in 1.5 liters of water along with 1.5 liters of chicken broth. Then I put the lid on that pot and let it start to boil. And while it was boiling, I started to cut up my vegetables. I first did 2 potatoes and chopped those up, and then I got 1 onion and diced that up, and then I got 1 long stick of celery and chopped that up. Then I put in 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil in a separate smaller pot, and then I mashed my garlic cloves, and then in that vegetable oil I added in my onions and sauteed them a little bit, and then once they were soft I added in the mashed garlic, and let that cook for 30 seconds. Then I added in the other vegetables, the celery, carrots, and potatoes, along with the cumin spice. And then just mix that up for a little bit, let it cook. Then I poured that into the water and chicken broth mixture. Then I added 1/3 cup of quinoa, along with chili powder and parsley and the lime.